Good afternoon. 1:15 p.m. on Monday, July 27th, 2026. Mark Kulak, Housatonic.live. How long has this been going on? How long has Candace Owens been protecting Erika Kirk? We've been looking at it the wrong way. You've been looking at it the wrong way. Most people are looking at it the wrong way. And I despise having to lean in to the popular topic of the day. But why does Candace Owens protect Erika Kirk? And she protects her precisely because she always asks the wrong questions. And I believe she protects Erika Kirk because she's also protecting herself. And I'm respinning some work that we've done recently on Housatonic.live. Again, it is July 27th, 2026. With this 3-photo montage, which should have gone absolutely viral right now, but it didn't. And it didn't because the concept of viral is a bit of a mythology. The algorithms promote things artificially. And either most citizen researchers just aren't worth their weight in anything, or there's just algorithms, and algorithms promote some stuff and hide other things, which I think is actually a big part of it. There's a lot of very intelligent people who simply don't know what they don't know. There's nothing in their life that gives them pause, that leads them to say, maybe I should be asking a whole lot of questions about some things which I'm just taking for granted. I know this because I believe I was in that situation for a long time myself. It was having things very close to me rattled, and being blessed with having a partner who that would pick up on some of these, like these things don't make sense either. And here we are. So there's a lot of people who could be asking these questions, but they just don't. And when people do, for example, get into the business or take the initiative to start asking more and more difficult questions, they could not imagine how many plants, how many liars and deceivers they're going to meet along the way to make sure that they only get so far. So this triage photo here, the middle one is really the most important one, I believe. And this is a January 2021. January 2021. I remember it was either the 20th or the 21st. Biden was just sworn into office to become the new president of the United States of America. Biden just became the new president after having won the election at the end of 2020. Many people don't believe in the results. I am unimpressed by our ability to audit elections, but I don't know if the result was wrong or not. I wouldn't say that. How could I say that? All I know is I don't feel confident in the ability to have a public audit of any of this stuff. That's a very, very different statement than saying it's the wrong result. So, anyways, I don't know anymore. Okay, I don't know, and actually, that's an opportunity for election integrity organizations to take the initiative, take that challenge. Take that bull by the horns and try to solve that for the benefit of everyone. But anyways, this is January 22nd, 2021. Now, Erika Kirk is still Erika Francvi. I don't know how to say it. She's not married to Charlie Kirk yet. They are engaged. I believe their engagement is public. In fact, the tweet, it's actually a Facebook post, says Charlie Kirk's fiance, Erika Francvi is there, and the woman on the right is the American named Anne Elizabeth Fundner, 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 not Funder, Fundner, Fundner. And this is Anne Elizabeth's Facebook page. Now, Anne Elizabeth is at this time an American mom who is also a podcaster, and she's an aspiring social media influencer. But her past includes, at this time, her past includes being a lingerie model, being in the 2006 Lingerie Bowl that was headlined by Jenny McCarthy or hosted by Jenny McCarthy. Her cousin is the founder of sports911.com, which became gambling911.com, which is very much involved in blogging and communications regarding online gambling, and not just online gambling as far as playing online poker, but also involved in these betting sites, which allow people to place bets on things such as how many times the next president is going to say the word reservoir in their speech. And people will place bets on these things, supposedly. I don't know if people really do or not. I mean, the way these things are scripted. And then, well, what if someone doesn't say reservoir but says reservoirs as in plural? I can't imagine trying to calculate whether or not the bets that the people are placing, they just don't make any sense. I mean, I think I understand, the intent of it, right? And, maybe with your guy friends, your girlfriends, your partner, you go, oh, I'll bet you Trump says this or doesn't say that tonight, and you turn it into a drinking game. But as far as competitively betting hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars on things, something like that, which can be so arbitrary. It's not like a sport where, this team had more points than the other team. And I know there could be bad referee calls, but there's a definitive way to measure it, sort of. And there isn't in these other ways. It can be very arbitrary. But anyways, and she was at January 6th, just a couple of weeks before this, that whole insurrection day. She was backstage. This is Ann Elizabeth, hugging Giuliani after he spoke with David Harris Jr. and James O'Keefe of Veritas and a long list of other influencers, podcasters, blobbers. Now, she was also in Washington, D.C. Again, she gets to go to Washington, D.C. a lot for someone who lives in Dana Point, California, or near Laguna, California. She was also in Washington, D.C. on December 12th, 2020, watching General Flynn speak. And I believe she was even just right behind Flynn at one of his speeches. Like you could see her holding the camera. And as it turns out, sadly, this is January 22nd, 2021. On February 27th, 2022, she claims her oldest son died of a drug overdose. And on that day, she became the angel mom and the face of all people who lost children and grandchildren. Drug overdoses in the United States of America, which she immediately blamed the border and China. So, border and China and Biden. She blamed Biden as well. Now, you can see her at one point kissing her oldest son. The point there is that the reason why I'm so cold isn't because we also lost our adult son just 5 or 6 weeks afterwards. But based upon all the evidence I have, I believe she's lying about her son having died. So the person that became the angel mom, and Trump has been walking around holding her son's photo, is someone that had lied about their son having died of a drug overdose. And she's at parties with the Trumps right now. She's in the White House like every other month, almost every month, maybe every 2 or 3 weeks. She is in the White House right now as the angel mom. She was on the stage at America 250 in like some diamond-studded dress. Again, she was also an ex-lingerie model. She's also was some sort of interviewer with Gambling 911 talking to the Kardashians, according to her. And Kobe Bryant and other big sports athletes. Hard to believe, but yeah. And the Republican National Convention 2024, which was a little over 2 years after her son didn't die, she spoke at the Republican National Convention and had, according to all news outlets, left and right, love Trump, hate Trump, Ann Elizabeth Fundner had the one speech that connected with everyone because she was the mom of 4 who lost her son to fentanyl. She did everything right. Son died. Nobody, not one news outlet, left or right, questioned her. Not one. Not one said, hey, it's kind of funny she's actually running for a congressional seat in California. Kind of funny her cousin started Gambling 911. Kind of funny that her speech at the Republican National Convention tipped the odds in favor of Trump winning. which would be something which online betting sites like Bodog, which are influenced by Gambling 911, that would kind of matter. That would mean that she actually tipped the odds in favor of Trump by her speech and her lie about her son having died before the election in 2024. Anne Elizabeth Fundner. No one mentioned this. Nobody. Everyone is hush-hush. Candace Owens didn't mention this. She hates Trump, I guess. She won't mention it. Tucker Carlson won't mention it. All these people have all this ammunition about Trump, so they say, won't mention it. Nobody will mention it. Oh, yeah, and the day after the Republican National Convention in 2024, the day after that, Charlie Kirk at some TPUSA event has to interview her. And Charlie Kirk seemed off. Charlie Kirk seemed off when he was talking to Anne Elizabeth Fundner the day after the Republican National Convention on July 17th of 2024. It's almost as if Charlie Kirk knew she was lying about it. Now, the nature of the conversation is that Charlie Kirk does not say that he knows her, but he already knows her. Oh, by the way, Charlie Kirk is in the casket on the left. See, this is what's so amazing about this photo, okay, is that clearly they know each other already. So, Charlie Kirk's fiance, as of January 2021, already knows the angel mom. How is that possible? And we see a fake body and the casket on the left, with Erika Kirk with her head down, trying to fake some tears. And we see Anne Elizabeth Fundner with her son who isn't dead on the right, trying to fake some tears over someone that isn't really dead. And somehow they knew each other years ahead of time. How is this possible? Oh, yeah, and how is it possible that Candace Owens, who supposedly is all super well connected, doesn't know this? How does Candace Owens not know that? Even people who hate Candace Owens won't point it out. People who love Candace Owens won't bring the story to her. Exactly. Even though it's one of the most sensational backstories ever. And yeah, these two families live together in Scottsdale, Arizona. Anne Elizabeth Fundner, her family was living in Scottsdale. Her husband, Eric Fundner, after losing his mortgage license somewhere in California in 2005, they lived for like 10 years in Scottsdale, just a short drive away from Erika Kirk lived. Do you think that's any coincidence that you have someone that was in the lingerie bowl in 2006? Granted, she's probably about, 15 years older than Erika Kirk, and Erika Kirk, who was Miss Arizona. You have Erika Kirk, who was Miss Arizona, with the Miss USA organization owned by Trump. And you have Anne Elizabeth Fundner, who was one of the girls for Hawaiian Tropic. And Hawaiian Tropic is where Marla Maples used to model for Trump. Nobody picked up on this. Nobody. What a sad sack of crap, a heaping pile of manure the entire supposedly intrepid podcasting universe is. Because this stuff is just sitting there. You have Charlie Kirk and the whole TPUSA ultra pushed by General Flynn. You have General Flynn with Anne Elizabeth Fundner standing right behind him, taking a photograph of him as he's speaking in Washington, D.C. on December 12, 2020. You even have Anne Elizabeth Fundner with General Flynn the day her son died. Didn't die because she faked a death. I can't even believe it. We could just keep on going. Of course, you got the whole, I could just talk for hours about this. You can watch my last several shows. I didn't really want to do a long stream about it. I'm just going to cut down the beginning. Of course, Candace Owens, her very first podcast, episode 1 of the Candace Owens show was Roseanne Barr. And Roseanne Barr is on the board of the fentanyl test company that Anne Elizabeth Fundner is SVP of right now, along with Robert Malone and along with Lara Logan. By the way, so this is Lara Logan today. Lara Logan shares with us who the globalists are. Who are the globalists? Who are they? I don't know. Lara Logan knows, though. She's on the board of directors of the fentanyl test company. Let's see. Laura Logan will tell us who the
Who are
globalists are.
directing and funding and controlling all of it. Who works for them? Well, they have proxy forces. So among their proxy forces are the Chinese Communist Party.
It's the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party. They're the globalists. China sucks at globalism so badly that nobody knows how to speak their language. China sucks at globalism so badly that they build cities in their own country that their own people don't move to. Look, China does a lot of things well, but let's be honest. They suck at globalism. They really do. They suck at it. And if there's anyone who can stand up and say that this mythology about China wanting to kill Americans with fentanyl is bullshit, it's moi. It's me. Because that story doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But she's on the board of the fentanyl test company with Ann Elizabeth Fundner, saying it's all China. All China. I know it seems like a little bit of a U-turn here, but look, Steve Bannon, it's all China. General Flynn, it's all China. China, China, China. China bad, China bad, China bad, China bad. Let's see here. Now there's another, Tim Loser. He has a video that called It's Getting Worse. So it's getting worse, according to Tim Pool. What is Tim Pool going to say here?
Let me pull in this tweet, and then I'll talk about it, right? So I said, if you want to get amplified on YouTube and X, all you need to do is claim the official story of Charlie Kirk's assassination is a cover-up and there's a conspiracy.
So Tim Pool is highlighting that there's a cover-up, there's a conspiracy about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You know, Charlie Kirk, the thing that is right between these two people from Scottsdale, Arizona. Ann Elizabeth Fundner, who went on to lose her son, not really, to a drug overdose and become the face of fentanyl moms and the opioid epidemic. And Erika Francvi, who went on to become Erika Kirk and lose her husband, not really, fake death, and become, the head of Turning Point USA and lead it down to whatever path of darkness she's leading it down. Two B-list, C-list maybe even, not even B-list, Hollywood actresses that aren't getting anywhere have hijacked all of these stories with Bannon and Flynn right by their side. So anyways, I just want to keep that in mind, okay? So let's get back to what Tim Pool says, because Tim Pool says that the truth about Charlie Kirk is censored. Let's see what it's all about.
Why is social media amplifying this so much? Why does big tech want this narrative to be front and center? Alex Jones made claims about Sandy Hook and was destroyed. His company sold off to try to humiliate him. What's the difference? You can claim one story is true, but the other results in your company's total annihilation. YouTube has rules around conspiracies. Specifically, they restrict conspiracy claims and amplify what they call authoritative news sources. Why is YouTube boosting these videos in the algorithm? Why does the machine want this narrative so badly? Contrast this with COVID. You get demonetized instantly if you talked about COVID in the early days. We couldn't even read news reports out of China that discussed the basics. Now, let me stress.
It's all about China. China did COVID. China did the drug epidemic. China had the leaky lab. Chinese people are dirty. China, China, China. China Communist Party. It's all about China. There's more backstory to this that's really haunting. Oh, yeah, there's also a real estate company that Ann Elizabeth Fundner's husband worked at that Erika Kirk worked at as well. Now, they didn't work there during the same window of time, but look, this is the connection. I don't have all the pieces yet because I think there's a couple of people that aren't in view yet. But the reality is that Turning Point USA was hijacked as well as control of America's opioid epidemic. They were both hijacked by the same anti-American, true globalist bastards that are behind COVID and behind America's drug epidemic and lowering life expectancy. And these two people are actresses which were employed to make this possible. I don't believe either one of them are the criminal masterminds. I don't. As frustrated as I am, They're not really the criminal masterminds of this. They're hired actresses. Erika Fransvi or Anne Elizabeth were born, which is a ridiculous scenario. But if they were never born, there would be two other actresses, probably blonde women of the same age, doing exactly the same thing. So they are there because of circumstance. Nonetheless, we will use their stories to understand these paths. It's not because, Eric Fransvi had a dad who worked in DHS or something. Again, these things are a bit of a stretch. The things are closer to Flynn, Bannon, and gambling, and Trump, and all of these other mega empires that are around that. And by the way, and Hollywood and stand-up. If you don't mind me going on a little bit of a tangent here, Roseanne Barr, who was guest one of Candace Owens' show, whose whole thing right now is Erika Kirk and TPUSA. Roseanne Barr, who's on the board of this fentanyl test company. Roseanne Barr was given one of her early big breaks by a comedian named Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield. I'm sure most people know who Rodney Dangerfield is. Doesn't get no respect. He didn't say it with an Italian accent. But Rodney Dangerfield himself was a good comic, and there is a documentary that you can watch on Rodney Dangerfield online. He was a good comedian who wasn't quite making it huge. And there's a legacy story about Rodney Dangerfield where he left he was in stand-up in his 20s, early 20s. He was married. He couldn't pay the bills. He was funny, but it wasn't quite going anywhere. And after, at some point, he needed to pay the bills, and he went into the business of selling aluminum siding in New Jersey and southern New York. And he was pretty good at it. He was a pretty good salesman. In fact, his compensation, while he wasn't rich, was pretty good because he was a very effective salesman, as one could imagine. But after a while, after he got some stability, financial stability, he tried out comedy again. And when Rodney Dangerfield tried out comedy again, it was recommended that he take a new stage name. Rodney Dangerfield was not the name that he was born with, but it's a name he took, and it's a name that was made up in some older TV show from like 10 or 20 years prior. And at that point, Rodney Dangerfield, every time he was on stage, presented, he was in a way acting out the role of a man named Rodney Dangerfield, a guy who's kind of funny, maybe like a little bit overweight, doesn't get any respect. Okay, he tries, nobody likes him, and people just love him because he's just this everyday guy. And when the real Rodney Dangerfield, the person who took on the role, detached from this character that he created, his career boomed. He created a persona, an abstraction. There is a real person whose name is generally known now as Rodney Dangerfield. I forget his original name. It's like John Roy or something like that. And they have a lot in common. But Rodney Dangerfield, this caricature, is something that he made up. Okay, and it evolved a little bit over time. People love the caricature. They know Rodney Dangerfield, the underlying person, a little bit, but not totally. So Rodney Dangerfield realized that when you become a comic, you put on an act. You're generally just not yourself telling jokes. And this is okay. People go to comedy clubs because they want to forget about their problems. They want to have some laughs. They want to feel like they're a little edgy. I love stand-up comedy. And now I fully understand that when you do stand-up and you're also doing a little bit of improv, and a lot of stand-up comedians have personas that they've created. Roseanne Barr, her stage name is the same as her real name. But the stage person, the person that you see in the podcasts, probably a little bit different than the person that she is in real life. A little bit different. She probably tweaks her voice a little bit. I don't think she's exactly the same. You know it's Roseanne Barr, but she does something a little bit different. Donald Trump's the same. I challenge you. Watch Donald Trump videos back in the 1970s. You'll see someone who is clearly, playing it up for the camera. But the Donald Trump caricature, the abstraction, wasn't made yet. And one of the things that Rodney Dangerfield coached a lot of young comedians on is you got to create your character. And you need to, it can evolve. It's not like you pick it on day one and it doesn't change. But people will follow your character. And that's what people will connect with. And then you start acting out that character. Anyways, Rodney Dangerfield on the earlier part of his career got a lot of additional financial success, because of opportunities that came from being on the Tonight Show and doing regular gigs in Las Vegas. Rodney Dangerfield made millions with regular stand-up shows in Las Vegas, and also having a nightclub in New York City called Dangerfield's, where he provided a stage for a lot of young comedians. So there's this whole generation of stand-up comics that went through Dangerfield's, including Norm Macdonald, including Roseanne Barr, including Tim Allen. It is a long list that went through Dangerfield's. Dangerfield, you can find, did have mafia connections. He wasn't a mobster, but he was connected because this criminal underworld that supports these clubs and is in Las Vegas and is there to ensure that political operations get funded is now also part of paying the bills for Rodney Dangerfield. If you don't think that this stuff matters, consider that when Rodney Dangerfield divorced, he got remarried to someone who was probably 20 years younger than him, Joan Dangerfield. Joan Dangerfield went on to get married. Well, they called it off right beforehand, but at the very least engaged to Las Vegas developer billionaire Kirk Kerkorian. So Kirk Kerkorian, who is the Armenian American billionaire, at one point he was just about the richest person in the United States of America, right up there with Donald Trump. In fact, during the 1990s, like 3 or 4 of the top 10 richest Americans were people in the gambling and hotel business. Things are different now. Now you IPO a company that makes, one-click purchase of socks and you're a trillionaire. The old days, it was casino operators, money laundering, which was, I don't think it was taking illegal money and making it real. I think it was taking fake money and making it real. But again, whatever. The point is that the behind the scenes, these comedians matter. So when Roseanne Barr is popping up on the first podcast of Candace Owens, giving her visibility, teaching Candace Owens about improv, teaching Candace Owens about how to create a character and stay in character. And then Roseanne Barr is also on the board of directors of the fentanyl test company of the Angel Mom. Serious shit is going down. Serious stuff. And Roseanne Barr and many of these other comics, you'll see, they're all tied in with QAnon and support of General Flynn and the rest of these, Steve Bannon fake actors and actresses. This photo is magnificent. Both of them faked the death of the most important person in their life. And they were friends from Scottsdale before either one happened. This is an impossible photo. This is an impossible photo. It's one of the most magnificent photos I've ever captured. I don't know how people can keep going on about Charlie Kirk being dead or about she being the real Angel Mom. I don't get it. It's an impossible coincidence. Impossible. They were 10 miles apart in Scottsdale, North Scottsdale. Probably went to the same church. Same families. impossible coincidence. Maybe that's what I should call this. And if Candace Owens really, really was concerned about the depths of the fakery around Erika Kirk, Candace Owens would call this out. But Candace Owens can't, because Candace Owens is in it too. Being coached by Roseanne Barr. Candace Owens celebrates Jenny McCarthy. Well, that's right. Jenny McCarthy ran the Bodog Women's Lingerie Bowl in 2006. Bodog is online gambling. On Gambling 911 was created by Anna Elizabeth Funder's cousin. Oh my! I can just keep looping forever. It's magnificent. And let's see here: Erika Kirk, Candace Owens, Chinese Communist Party is bad, and we have Anna Elizabeth Funder. Chinese Communist Party is bad. Let's see here. Well, while we're here, I've been really wondering about this story about the Chinese Communist Party and China and the United Nations. China is regarded as being one of the founding nations of the United Nations. But there's also this issue of the Chinese Communist Party involvement in the United Nations. And I guess what happened was after China was, after World War II, after 1945, the Communist Party in China, in the mainland, got more and more powerful and chased the old Chinese republic government all the way out to Taiwan. So while China and the Chinese people are indeed part of the founding group of the United Nations, the Chinese Communist Party seems to be, although they are working a lot with the United Nations right now, are very skeptical about it. And it's kind of odd that you have all of these people who are so against NATO are also very much constantly against the Chinese Communist Party. In fact, we're now supposed to believe that both our drug epidemic and COVID are because of the Chinese Communist Party. Both. Now, first of all, it can't be both, because that would be counting deaths twice. If you subtract several 100,000 additional drug overdose deaths from excess deaths in the United States of America, and then subtract a couple 100,000 deaths of people that died because of protocols that were motivated because of a belief in a deadly novel virus, and then you subtract the fact that, we had some extra deaths because we were going to have more deaths anyways because of our population pyramid, you're left with zero. So you can't have China responsible for both a deadly novel virus killing 1 million people in the United States and fentanyl killing 1 million people in the United States, because you're counting it twice. That narrative alone is proof that the people who are right now, and Anna Elizabeth Funder is a huge part of this, telling us that it's the Chinese Communist Party over and over again, they don't know how to do their math. It can't be both. If they were just saying one or the other, I'd be like, well, okay. That's still wrong. That's still a bit misleading, but okay. But no. Now, General Flynn, bringing this back to, I said earlier I was going to tie this into me. General Flynn got into some trouble in late 2016 by encouraging Russia. This is the narrative anyways, right? By encouraging Russia, the Russian government, to not vote one way or another on a United Nations Security Council referendum. Something to do with Israel and Palestine. I don't know. I don't live there. I don't know what the vote is about, really. I'm not going to figure it out. You could put it in the chat. I don't care. So it's I can't even figure out my own country. But I know that it was a United Nations issue, supposedly, that General Flynn felt interested enough, which means that General Flynn and the rest of the other people around him, all who hate the Chinese Communist Party, are all kind of, oddly enough, in favor of United Nations. They all took a stance to favor Russia and the United Nations stance on Russia and whatever Russia did in Ukraine regarding biological weapons, biological weapon laboratories in Ukraine, a mythology that was backed up by bullshit evidence about deadly novel viruses, which is based off a lie. Again, more evidence, which came out of India, that China did it, dirty shoelaces, bad laboratory, money to Fauci. And again, we could just keep looping here. You can see it, though. You can see how all of this stuff is connected. Is it any coincidence that even the lab leak story itself and Project Veritas and the lab leak story, James O'Keefe, also multiple photos, multiple events, everything from J6 to CPAC events to Million MAGA events with James O'Keefe. Impossible coincidence, unless they are both political operatives. Impossible coincidence. Scottsdale, Arizona, both residents, many years, not living too far apart. I won't say neighbors. But again, I suspect that this video will be seen by very few people. It is the way it is. You could share it all you want. You could put this video on a billboard. It still will get only limited visibility. It is the way it is. It's what we're up against right now. So that was just kind of kind of ranty. It's kind of what was behind what was going through my head yesterday and the day before. So I just had to capture it and put it out there for you. I am Lodi. I don't know what that is all about. 9. Hey, V. Bob Bray, leader of the exploding mic theory, had both brothers. Oh, fantastic. Thank you, V. So we have the J6 people also connected in with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Fantastic. It's fantastic. As one of the people who was involved in and leading, I should say, providing either, I think it was legal defense for J6 people, was a guy named Brad Geyer of the former Feds group, who was leading the all this podcasting regarding interviewing people who lost people to protocols. Again, another Robert Malone associate. Robert Malone co-authored his book on psychological warfare with General Flynn. General Flynn, the same General Flynn that Ann Elizabeth Funner was standing behind in the Million MAGA March in December of 2020, the same General Flynn that she's hugging the day before her son dies. The same General Flynn who it's all Chinese Communist Party. Now, I know nothing about the Chinese Communist Party. I really don't. Why should I like them? Why should I hate them? I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is this, okay? I know that, like the logic puzzles, sometimes you only have a certain facts to build things on. Like when you're solving a logic puzzle, you got like 5 names, 5 dates, 5 birthday presents, 5 recipients. You know, who bought which birthday present on which day to give to which person. And you have your little logic grid. And they give you a couple of stupid clues. Like, well, Jane definitely didn't buy the candlestick, and Bob bought his birthday present on Friday. And they only give you a couple of very basic clues here. What I know, okay, and I've tried to make a logic grid to like map to the stuff I've researched, but it's very difficult because there's just so many variables. So I just use it to get the point across, to get the gist of it. What I know is every person right now hyperventilating about the Chinese Communist Party is hiding that America's drug epidemic is rooted in addiction, and the data was used to justify a deadly novel virus via dropping life expectancy. Therefore, I know that the people who are hyperventilating about the Chinese Communist Party are also involved in covering up or facilitating mass murder in the United States of America. Now, that doesn't mean that the Chinese Communist Party is therefore good or bad. However, though, I have no reason to believe any information that come from any people who harbor such disgust, such anger, and have done such damage to my own country. That's the problem. So I used a few facts that we have here, the things that you can really stand on and be like, okay, so this is one of those absolute immovable things. Jane bought the candlestick. We don't know who she's going to give it to yet, or which day the recipient's birthday is, but we know that much. And then you build around that. So the fact that they chose a fake angel mom to control this story, boy, this photo is just dynamite, guys. Bertrand Russell mentored Chairman Mao. Yeah, I don't know much about the Chinese Communist Party. I don't. What I do know is it's in another country that I don't live in. And I know that there's people who live in my country who made the drug epidemic possible. So if someone in my country made it possible, was part of making it possible, part of murdering and covering it up, why should my focus be the government in another country? So they're planning to get away with it by hiring armies of podcasters. Dozens, hundreds, if necessary, thousands of podcasters who are going to talk day and night about ballistics and about Charlie Kirk, about exploding microphones, about drones, about globalism, about, all of these topics. None of them are going to make any sense. They're all going to be contradictory. And every single one of these people is starting off with a foundation of backstabbing. So why does anything else matter after that? That's what I know. I'm not backstabbing anyone, and I'm not taking any position in favor of or in hatred of another country. Oh, Israel this, Palestine that. I don't know. How could I possibly know? And anyone says that they know is full of it. How do they know? So, with that said, that's my little morning show. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening. We'll do another reading later. I got to get back to my project here. Love you much. Thanks. Stay positive. And I guess you don't quit. You just stop trying. There's no such thing as failure. You just stop trying. So for the moment, let's just keep on trying and see what happens. God bless. And none of my intros or exits are working, so I just have to click buy. So, see ya.